available. Great. Thank you. Okay. Can you go back one slide, Jennifer? For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Caitlin Rothenbush James, and I've been working here at the Community Foundation as the Granting and Stewardship Coordinator for the last couple of years. So here's just a brief agenda of what we're going to cover today. I'll talk about what free-to-play is. We'll go over the eligibility criteria, talk about how to apply, briefly discuss the participatory grant-making process that we use here, and then there'll be time for Q&A as well. So what is free-to-play? So free-to-play is it's a really exciting project that we're able to offer here at the foundation, and we came to it. It's actually a national program led by the Community Foundations of Canada. It's seeded by the Waltons Trust with support from the Lawson Foundation and the Canadian Jumpstart Charities. So there's 22 participating community foundations across Canada, like all across the country, and Peterborough City and County is one of them. So we're super excited that we were able to take part in this. Like just like you are submitting your EOI, Jennifer and I submitted an EOI to be part of this program back in the summer. So we were thrilled when we were selected to deliver the program here locally. And we're also planning on running some matching campaigns with our donors and community to build up the fund even more so that this is something we can sustain. So free to play, as you can see here on the screen, is meant to support children by creating the conditions for them to play outside, moving, imagining, taking risks, and connecting with others in the way that they choose. The fund aims to increase opportunities for outdoor play, reduce barriers that limit everyday outdoor play opportunities, and contribute to the well-being, confidence, and healthy development of children, and contribute to a long-term shift that values outdoor play as essential to childhood. I am a parent myself. I've got young kids. I'm sure many of you do, whether it's nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever you may have. And so this is not only exciting for this community, but also I've been learning so much as a parent. So for all of you who aren't already experts on the topic of outdoor play, it's a really great one to be a part of, and there's lots of learning to happen. Okay, now I'm going to share just a short video here. This is one of the consultants that helped develop the free-to-play program. Her name's Dr. Mariana Brusoni. She's a developmental psychologist. She specializes in outdoor play and risky play for kids. So not only has she been helping develop this program, but she has lots of resources online. There's a whole website with links for parents or educators. There's lots of videos online. This one I chose really just because it's very succinct. So it's just 3 minutes, and I'll pull it up here now and share my screen with you all. Now, let me know if you can all see this okay. I see some nods. Great. Okay. Okay, here we go.
Favorite childhood play memory. What were you doing? Who were you with? Where were you? What were some of the sights and sounds and smells that you experienced? Many of us remember time spent outside, playing in the streets around our home, in nearby forests, ditches, ravines, or other places that weren't necessarily for play. Think back to why those memories were so important for you. A lot of adults talk about a sense of freedom to be able to do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it, to meet up with friends, to run and jump and shout and play, and to have a sense of limitless time to be able to explore the outdoors and do what they wanted to do. Now, it turns out that these are really important features of outdoor play, and they're not generally available when kids play inside. They're actually quite important for children's health, development, and well-being. So why are we seeing a decreasing trend in children's outdoor play? And what can we do about it? In this video, we'll be talking about 3 key ingredients for supporting children's outdoor play: time, space, and freedom. When kids are outside playing, they're more physically active. Being able to set their own goals and figure out how to obtain those goals, that's really important for their cognitive development. Negotiating with their friends, that's really important for their social and emotional development. Figuring out how to solve problems, how to keep themselves safe, that's really important for their self-confidence, resilience, and risk management skills. Over the past several generations, there's been a downward trend in the time that kids are spending outside and more of a push indoors, sitting down, with adults directing what they do. But as we've learned more about the importance of outdoor play for children's health, development, and well-being, there's been growing concern about this trend of disappearing play from children's lives. There's some really easy things that parents and caregivers can do to support play and bring back play to their children's lives based on the 3 key ingredients for children's outdoor play. Number 1, allowing the time to play. Now, this can mean actually scheduling it into the calendar, making sure that it doesn't get lost in the busyness of everyday life and rushing around. Number 2, providing spaces for play and making sure that they're interesting. One of the easiest ways to do this is to bring in loose parts, things like sticks and stones and leaves and tarps and crates, things that kids can move around. This really allows them to let their imagination shape the play and increases the quality of the play. Number 3, giving them the freedom to play the way that they want to play, including taking risks. So one of the things you can think about is next time you're tempted to intervene, you can just count to 17. Let the situation play itself out. Figure out at the end of that time if it's still important that you actually get involved. So I would encourage you, parents and caregivers, to set one simple goal for what you want to do to help support your child's play. It doesn't have to be complicated or difficult. It really just needs to be manageable for you. I promise you, you won't regret it.
Great, there we go. So that gives you just a short glimpse as to what we're talking about here, what kind of projects we want to support. And there's lots more, like I said, lots more resources out there for you if this is something that you're newer to exploring, the idea of outdoor play for kids. There's also an applicant webinar that happened a couple of weeks ago. But if you weren't able to join that live, there's a recording. I can pop the link to that recording into the chat here. Just a moment. And there's another webinar happening for the free-to-play program about outdoor play too, and it's actually happening right now. So there was a bit of a last-minute change there, but it will be recorded as well. So once that recording is available, we'll make sure to send it out to everyone that's on the call here. There you go. Also, if you haven't already read the applicant guide, please do that. Lots of the information is in there. This information here on the screen is all in that applicant guide. Lots more detail as well. I'm just going to do a high-level overview of a few of the things that are in that guide, and then you can go back and refer to it on our website. Actually, I'll go ahead and pop that in the chat too, so that in case you haven't already seen that, you can grab that. And in case you haven't gone to our webpage, that's where we have the more information as well. Okay, there you go. Okay, so next slide, moving on. Jumping into eligibility. So first and foremost, the organization applying must operate within and also provide services in the city or county of Peterborough, Hiawatha First Nation, or Curve Lake First Nation. So I know there's many partnering agencies doing wonderful work, and we wish we could fund them all, but for this program, it is restricted to this area, the area that the Community Foundation of Greater Peterborough funds. So that's where we will be working from. Also, the next criteria here that is required is for you to either be a charity or an incorporated nonprofit. The other thing you could be is other qualified donees. So there's a few specific examples of what that is. You can look it up online. If you're not sure if that's you, reach out and we can talk about that. You also have to be willing to participate in a granting circle process. So this is how we're planning on running this program and how we mostly run all of our programs here at the Community Foundation, where we have the discretion to do so. I'm going to touch on that a bit later, so I'll leave that for now. And then lastly, meeting the requirements that are outlined in the applicant guide. So if you haven't read that, please do. It's on our website. The link is in the chat. Take a look. And also, in addition to this, the individuals are not eligible to apply. So you need to be part of one of the organizations expressed here. Okay. There's a few examples here of eligible projects. There's more detailed examples that are in the applicant guide that I discussed, so take a look there for a few more ideas. But some examples are hiring an outdoor play consultant to train staff or caregivers to encourage kids to play outside and take risks. Another example is naturalizing outdoor play spaces and acquiring loose part materials. So Dr. Mariana talked about that in the video there, in case you missed it. Things like sticks, rocks, crates, tarps, things that kids can use to create, imagine, play that's really open-ended. Next, another example is collaborating with local groups to create a community-wide outdoor play vision, and designing evidence-based outdoor play programming and spaces, creating or adapting policies to support outdoor play opportunities. Those are a few examples of eligible projects. And also we are taking the approach. We want to fund as much as we can projects that incorporate equity or a climate lens. So that's part of our mission, vision, and strategic plan of the foundation. So we try to incorporate that in everything we do. And certainly it relates to the topic of outdoor play for kids. Okay. There are a few ineligible expenses and projects. And again, there's a full list of ineligible projects that are in the applicant guide. One of those projects is something that involves a 1 or 2 day event. So, for example, if you wanted to close down a street, to encourage a local community to play outside on the street, that's fantastic. That could be part of a broader vision, a broader plan, but that in and of itself would not be eligible. It's meant to be something with a more long-term lasting impact. Meaningful impact is the words that the CFC has used. So, and also it can't be purely research-based. So while research can be part of it, it can't only be research. It has to be research that is meant to promote policies or play spaces or to have an actionable result. So if you're unsure about any of these, you can also reach out to us and we can have a conversation, of course. The projects can't be religious, and they can consist of structured adult-led activities. So sports, for example, would not be eligible for this program, or other activities like that where it's adult-led. It's really about imaginative, free outdoor play for kids. Also, anything that is a virtual program or purchasing electronic equipment is not eligible. And equipment-only proposals aren't eligible unless they're paired with training or naturalization or program enhancements that promote free outdoor play for kids. So eligible projects need to have like a component such as, like I said, training staff, community engagement, or creating supportive policies, offering child-led play opportunities. So equipment could be one component of that, but it can't be the only component of the project. And that ties into major capital campaigns. There's also not a massive amount of funding available to fund those type of large projects. And they also can't focus solely on core funding. So, for example, if you run a program that is entirely indoor based and you're wanting to reimagine that program so that it's outdoor based, that could apply. But otherwise, we're looking at things that are beyond just core operating, that are really pushing forward the outdoor play projects. Typically, that differs from how we usually do things at the Community Foundation. We like to provide as much unrestricted funding to all the charities that we can, but in this case, we are part of a wider project with more specific rules. So we're going through those here. Next slide. The EOI process, if you haven't already reviewed it on our website, would be the first place to start. So like I've said a few times now, make sure you read through the applicant guide thoroughly and confirm that you are eligible. If you're not sure if you're eligible or not, please reach out to us at the foundation and ask us. We would be way more happy to have that conversation with you before you apply than for you to put the work into creating an expression of interest when you may not be eligible. So if you're unsure at all, reach out and we can talk that through. The deadline for applications is February 24th. So do your best to get it in before the last minute because questions do come up. We're always happy to answer questions, but sometimes it's not possible, the day of. We have a review committee that will be reading through the expressions of interest, and their job will be to determine the shortlist and invite a group of up to 8 organizations to join a granting circle. And those granting circles will be held. There's a few dates here. So these are right now, we're holding these dates, but they're not quite set in stone. They're subject to change. But we will be confirming those certainly by the February 24th deadline. And we will add those either to the application or the website. So check back there to see if these dates have changed at all at that point, so that you can block them off in your calendar, because it is really important that there's a representative from every organization at these granting circles that are able to make decisions on behalf of the organization. So the granting circle process, normally we have 3 dates there. It may be done in 2, but we like to include a third so that the process isn't rushed. And if we need to meet for a third meeting before the final decisions are made, we can do that. I also want to note that if you do need any sort of accommodation for the EOI process, please reach out to us and we will make that happen. And if there's any questions, I can also answer them in just a moment here when we move to Q&A. So moving on to participatory grant making, I want to just briefly touch on this here because it is, as I've mentioned, how we're going to roll out this program, and it is part of the eligibility requirement that you're willing to take part in this. So participatory grant making, if you haven't heard of it before, it's a decision-making process that centers the experience of those who are benefiting from the grants. So a representative from your organization, it could be, maybe it's the ED, maybe it's a volunteer, or maybe it's a client, although in this case, children wouldn't quite work. I mean, there are foundations that work with children to do participatory grant making, but it's not something that we've done here before. So that's not what we're planning on doing. But someone from your organization that can come to these granting circles, that can share what their hopes and dreams are, what skills they have, what assets they have, and where the need is. And then together, the individuals present will decide how to allocate the available pot of funds amongst the different organizations, or perhaps there's collaborations that emerge. This does happen sometimes through the process. But this process does require time and energy. It can be emotional, it can be difficult, it can be rewarding, but certainly it requires a willingness to listen, to learn, and to collaborate with a diverse group of partners. So I'm wondering now, just for a moment, if there's anyone on the call here who has been part of the granting circle process before and would be willing to share briefly about their experience. If you are, just put your hand up or jump off mute. Okay, no problem if people don't want to chat, but there's a number of people that have been part of this process in the past, and so um, we can connect you with them or reach out to them to hear the experience from their side of things. Because, like I said, sometimes there's tears, there's laughter, there's hard conversations, but normally people report that it's really rewarding and that being part of that collaborative experience is worthwhile. So we hope that that's how each of you feels when you take part in it as well, if you take part in it, or whether that's through this round of granting, another round, or somewhere else. Also, this is a good time for me to mention that we did have an offer of someone hoping for more collaboration and partnership ahead of the process. Hannah, I think I saw you on the call. Are you willing to chime in?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we knew about the granting process before, and so we just thought it might be worth being a little bit proactive just with the people on this call or the people who have expressed interest before, to think, are there some like big goals that a few of us are trying to accomplish, and would it make sense for us to kind of partner up and collaborate on an application rather than each of us submitting our own similar proposal. So I just wondered if there was an opportunity ahead of time to kind of hear a little bit about what people are thinking and see if there is some potential there. Um, yeah, just curious. I know there's lots of great work happening in the community and we're connected to some of it, but I don't know who all the players are out there right now. But we're a large childcare organization, and so our big thing is just getting very young children outside. That's kind of part of our mission between 0 and 12-year-olds. So if that rings in any way with anyone on the call, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to share my email as well if so.
Thanks, Hannah. Perhaps you could drop your information into the chat. And if anyone else wants to drop their information into the chat, they can do so too, so that you can network amongst yourself. Yeah, Katie?
Sure. I just wanted to connect on that point that Hannah just made. We're we're just becoming familiar. We joined as a result of the email last night as well. So we're just becoming familiar with the package and the opportunity, but it did resonate kind of right out of the gate that we have an early childhood education program that has principles of outdoor learning integrated, but opportunities to kind of scale that and build on that. And part of what we were interested in as well is collaborating potentially with other organizations. Hannah, I know there's already some connectivity between Fleming and Compass with the childcare center that's coming to St. Joseph's at Fleming, and my colleague Laura here has already been kind of connected with that process. But we'd love to kind of connect offline with you, but just wanted to share that with the group too, that we really like those opportunities to kind of scale, and it seems aligned with the goals of this program to have like systemic impact. And I think we can do that really effectively together. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anna.
Hi there, my name's Anna and I work for Kawartha Land Trust. We're a land conservation organization in the region, and we've had the good fortune to work with Hannah and her team at Compass Early Learning and Care. And in terms of collaboration, I guess I would be curious from people on the call, our focus is not on youth programming, although we do have a focus around connecting people with nature of all ages for a myriad of benefits. But what we do have is we have access to green space, to those natural outdoor areas, which typically at this point our public access properties have trails, but we have other properties and would be open and I guess curious to hear from people if, maybe they bring more of the connection to youth and that portion of things, and we may be able to partner from sort of a land-based opportunity, providing spaces for play. So just putting that out there.
Amazing, thank you. And I really appreciate that this type of conversation, connection, and collaboration has already happened, because this is often something that we see emerge through the granting circle. But as much as this can start happening now, then when we get to the granting circle portion, it will be that much more fruitful, I think. And for those that are concerned about the granting circle process, it's certainly normal to be nervous or to be unsure. And that's that's totally fine. But we do find that a big part of the benefit is that when people get to know each other in that context and make decisions together, that it really is not a place of competition. People aren't fighting for dollars. Like, actually, people are like, hey, I love your project. I can scale mine down a bit, and I'd love to like transfer some more funds your way. So these are the type of conversations that emerge. Or perhaps two groups are doing something quite similar, and they're like, hey, if we combine this, like, I'll hold the funding, but we'll work together and we can have a bigger impact. So if you're already starting to think about those things, then that's fantastic. Oh, thanks, Natalie. Natalie jumped in there too, and she was part of a granting circle one time. So she's included her email there if you'd like to ask her questions and get the take behind the scenes, not the take from me. Although I've also been a participant in a granting circle, and I enjoyed the process there too. Great. I love seeing the activity happening in the chat. That wraps up the basics that I wanted to go over all together. I do really thank you for being here. Like I've said a few times, there's a lot more detail on the website. There's the webinar recording of Outdoor Play 101 that I shared in the chat. There's the other webinar recording I'll be sending out soon. So take a look at all those resources. We'll have time for Q&A now. But if you are reading through all those resources after the Q&A, you still have questions, you're welcome to reach out to us here at the Community Foundation. I am actually entering a new chapter, so I will be leaving the Community Foundation at the end of this month. So you're welcome to reach out to me up until January 30th. And then after that, it will be Jennifer Debuse. She'll be the one taking the lead, and you can reach out to her with any questions. That's why I've included her contact information there. So you can jot that down if you don't have it already. And like I said, we're always really happy to have conversations and to talk with people. Okay, does anyone have a question or comment? You can feel free to type it in the chat too if you prefer. I'll take a look there now. See, lots of people have added their contact information, which is great. Carrie.
Hi, my question is pretty specific, and I know I've had this question to you guys before. So you talk in the application about paying everyone at the organization a living wage, which we do with the exception of our summer student who comes to us with a Canada Summer Jobs Grant, which does not pay a living wage but pays minimum wage. Does that make us ineligible if our summer student is here on a grant that's paying minimum wage?
Thanks for asking. It doesn't make you ineligible for this granting program. Some of our granting programs, we do have it as an eligibility criteria. We still included it as a question, and there's also a place for you to explain whether it's something you're working towards. But it's something that we value as an organization, and so we want to put it on the radar as many charities and nonprofits as we can. We want to support the sector as a whole. Like this program is to support kids getting outside, playing outside. But our mission and mandate is to support the sector as a whole, and one of the ways we do that is by raising that question. But no, it's not an eligibility criteria for this granting stream.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Hannah.
Just one question for those who are here, because we are all in the outdoor learning sphere in some capacity. Does anyone have experience with the High Five certification? I know Compass, we're trying to explore how to make our outdoor programming more accessible, and we've recognized that that's a way that we can do it. Just wondering if anyone else has taken that approach or would be able to talk more about that at some point, even offline. But just thinking that that could be one angle to be investigating more widely as a community potentially.
Thanks for putting that out there. Does anyone want to chime in right away? Or perhaps you can also, Hannah's dropped her information in the chat there. Robert, is that a hand? No, maybe not. Okay, well, you're welcome to reach out to Hannah. And there's folks on this call who have probably been working in the outdoor play space for a long time. Oh, thanks for giving some more context there. Yeah. And there's people who are new to this, and all of that is great. And that's why we want to do the granting circle. That's why this program's great, because there's going to be meeting points throughout the program. So those that have experience in one area more than others will be able to share and learn from one another. So thanks, Hannah, for sharing that. Marjorie.
Hi, I know a lot of the groups here support schools and teachers bringing their programming to the classroom. And I wonder if that would fall under adult-led, like structured, like the classroom
So it depends, but if
in edge case.
one of the examples listed, one of the eligible examples was training teachers, staff, and caregivers. So if the training is to help them promote outdoor play for kids, free outdoor play for kids, then that would be eligible.
Right.
If it's training them how to be a teacher generally, no. Like the end outcome really has to be getting kids outside,
Right.
off screens outside.
Thanks.
Did you want to ask a follow-up question, or does that answer what you were hoping for?
That answers it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Mhm. Great. Any other questions, comments, ideas?
I might have one. Hi, Caitlin.
Oh, hi. Nice
Hi,
to see you.
everyone else. Nice to see you. I've sequestered myself in an office so I can speak to anything if folks have questions. But so yeah, Ashley is also here from Green Up. We're looking to scope our ask. I'm wondering if you can give us a range of amount that we should be looking for, or if that's on the website, I apologize. I haven't seen it yet.
No, it's not on the website. And it's intentionally not there because we, well, one, because we're not sure about what the final amount will be.
Okay.
We have a general ballpark idea though. And in the past, when we've done granting circles, we like to, we don't want to focus on the money first and foremost, but at the same time, I understand where you're coming from. You're like, do I ask for $1 million or like $1,000? So I don't know. Jennifer's on the call too. Jennifer, would you like to chime in on that specifically?
I can't really specifically because I really don't know what the number is. Honestly, Caitlin's been running this and part of the conversation with CFC for the past few months, and I've lost the thread on that. Typically, it in the participatory circles, we let everybody put their best ideas forward and talk about each of those projects for their own worth and their own value, and there will be price tags attached to them. We normally ask people to come with what would be a meaningful amount of money and what would be a sufficient amount of money, sort of, so you have a bit of a range yourself in like, yeah, this would be the bare minimum that would be worthwhile, but this would be amazing if we got this much, so that people, when you're talking to each other, have a sense of what's meaningful to one organization might be something completely different to another. So we do that does emerge in the participatory granting process. And we have no precedents. Like with our Vital Community grants, we can say very confidently, this is our small grants program, and on average, people receive about $7,000 to $10,000 a year. We don't know with this. We don't know who's going to apply. We don't know the scale of the projects you're going to submit. So we really are going into this a bit blind. But it's not going to be $1 million, right? Don't think. Put your best foot forward. What do you actually want to do to get this work done? And think about how you might subdivide that into different chunks with different price tags. That would be how I would approach this, as opposed to scoping a whole thing with just one number that is inassailable that you can't do anything about. So be prepared, because in conversation with everybody else, there's often give and take. And you think, actually, I could put this part of my project aside in order to let this person have this much money to do whatever. Or sometimes groups come together and say, let's all chip in something and do something together. Maybe, a session for parents or something like that, right? So, yeah, be flexible in your thinking. I don't think the numbers are required in the EOI specifically. It's something that comes later. So you don't even have to do that thinking before February 24th, but it's obviously in the back of your minds.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I realize I put you on the spot there,
No,
but
it is a it depends kind of answer, right? And
yeah.
and without knowing the money, and it's all brand new to us. So thanks for your patience.
That's great. And I would just say to everyone, just like if you come up with some tiers of what you'd like to do, that was my experience at the Granting Circle was amazing. Everyone was so supportive of each other's projects and ideas, and we made something happen for everyone. So that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Natalie. Yeah, appreciate it. I had something else I was going to add to that. Oh yeah, I was going to mention, if you haven't already gone to our website, there's the link there to the application portal, but we've also included a PDF of the application questions just for your reference. So you'll notice that one of the application questions asks for you to share your idea of how you may use the funds, but we're not asking for like a project proposal with like timelines and details and like budget lines attached. And the reason is because a lot of that will emerge in the Granting Circle and May Shift. But of course you have plans and ideas. And so we want you to share those with us. But just know that that's not like the bulk of the weight of the application isn't on that specifically. Okay, thanks. Katie, to you.
Sure. I just have two kind of follow-up questions to that. One is with respect to sort of like multi-year projects. So I'm just thinking of like a scenario where like a program is formed that maybe like involves a couple different partners. Should we be kind of thinking though in terms of something that's kind of more contained to 1 year because this is a 1-year program, or is there potential for renewal? And then my second question is just with respect to the funding that's available, like hearing sort of the way it was just explained in terms of the process, but is it a situation where like depending on kind of the scale and potential of the proposals that come through the Community Foundation of Greater Peterborough, it like has the potential to draw more or less from the overall national program? Or is that kind of predetermined going in?
Yeah, so it is predetermined going in terms of the amount of funds we have from the national program, which we applied for and comes from the Lawson Foundation and the others that I mentioned. But part of the program is that the local community foundations do a matching campaign. So over the course of the next few years, we'll be talking to donors that we work with. We'll be promoting the Free to Play Fund and soliciting more donations to build up that fund. And so whether that money goes into like this first round of granting or whether it's used, there's going to be a second round as well. And then beyond that, we don't know. But I mean, this is super vital work. And so who knows how, in what way we'll be able to continue it. But there will be more money coming in that we don't know how much that will be. But it's, so sorry, that's not really a clear answer. Jennifer, do you have a clarifying point?
Now, I just also to add that Community Foundations of Canada is actively soliciting other partners.
Yeah.
So they're hoping to grow the pot as well and potentially extend the timeline. So it's a very dynamic program at the moment. And there is vagueness on our part because we actually don't have any explicit numbers from CFC yet. Yeah, there is going to be a second round of granting. We've been told that. And I think, I can't remember the timeline of that, maybe 2 years from now, even. It's a long, it's a 3 or 4 year program that they're looking at rolling this out. But again, the dates for the future part haven't been established yet. So we're just looking in the moment. We're taking this first step, and we're trusting that everything is going to go well and there'll be more opportunities and more money down the road, but we can't promise exactly how that's going to roll out or when.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And I think what I'm hearing is like, if say we thought about something that had the potential to be like a longer term program, we could kind of think in terms of like the launch and the first year. And to your point, if that goes well, like it's something that our individual organizations could also attract donors to, like for the continuation of it, if this funding wasn't kind of sustainable in that.
Yeah, framing things as pilots in that context.
Okay.
For a first phase, and then if there is a second phase that you're eligible for, or even if you want to take to your own donors, you could call it based on our successful pilot, blah, 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 right?
That makes good sense. Okay, thank you.
And Katie, to your first question as well, the funding from the first round will be needs to be used by the organizations between 2026 and November of 2028. It needs to be spent within that period. The activities can continue beyond that period. And then the second round is going to be coming in 2027. And like Jennifer said, we are still waiting on information about how that round will roll out. But it is possible that if you fill out your EOI for this round and you're not invited to be part of the granting circle, when the round in 2027 comes around again, we can look back at some of those applications or expressions of interest rather. So, or if you're not sure if this is for you now, and then like stay tuned, stay connected, be on our email list so that we can share more information as we have it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jason's just asked if you could repeat those dates, Caitlin.
Yeah, so the funding for round one needs to be used between 2026, whenever that rolls out, sometime in the spring, and November of 2028. Funds need to be spent within that time. Activities can continue beyond. And then the second round is coming sometime in 2027. Anyone else? Well, like I said, we are happy to have further conversations down the road. And please, I encourage you to start your expression of interest when you can. It's not lengthy, it's not long. We try our best to keep it reasonable. But do start it sooner than later if you can, and let us know if you have any questions in the meantime. Jennifer, you want to close this out?
Yeah, just want to thank you all for showing up and expressing your interest even this far. As Caitlin said, she's going to be leaving. We're very sorry to lose her, but wish her well. But also know that a lot of this is landing on me with, I've got a steep learning curve ahead of me too, and getting up to speed in order to be able to answer your questions in February. So try to bug her before the end of January. But you'll be in safe hands after that. So thank you very much for your conversation and questions today. We will include the recording of this along with all the other links that Caitlin's going to send out afterwards. So you can refresh your memories. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you and all the best, Caitlin.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your afternoons.